play a game.
Randy's the referee?
Oh, you mad, bro?
Well, I am mad that Randy's the referee. We gotta change that somehow. So today for the great game debate, we have, in my opinion, Sidereal Confluence. Now, I think we're going to have as heated debate on how to pronounce this game as we are the game itself. But regardless, I guess that's an ongoing thing just with Daniel as a whole. But regardless, so anyway, so this is like so the reason we played it, because this is actually one of my games. I bought it a couple of years ago. I hadn't heard about it. It kind of well, I guess to say on brand, it showed up in my purview right on time after it had been out a few years or whatever. But anyways, I finally found out about this game, and I love the idea of it. It seemed very different than anything else that was out there. It's a very focused on trading game and kind of like actually like making actually talking with one another. What's the word we were talking about earlier? What's
deal making, negotiating?
Well, I know, but there's a name for the mechanic. Not table talk, whatever, regardless, but we know what we're talking about here. And I just thought it was really interesting the fact that it actually leaned into that, opposed to it being like something additional. It was like essential to the game. So what we're gonna do right now is actually show you a video from Daniel explaining actually how to exactly play the game, and then we'll come back and kind of give our opinions.
Sidereal Confluence is played over 3 phases. The first phase is the trade phase, which is the heart of this game. In the trade phase, you can trade anything you want to your opponents. You can run your converters with the purple arrow, and you can upgrade your cards. One of the cool things about Sidereal Confluence is it comes with this card that shows you what a good trade is. 3 small cubes equals 2 big cubes, which can equal 1 hexagon, which equals a star, which equals 3 ship points. So you always know if you're making a fair trade. After that, you go to the economy phase, where you run your white converters. This is where you are going to gain the majority of your resources. Then you're going to go to the confluence phase. In confluence, you share technology, you bid on colonies, and you do bids for research. After you do the trade phase, you go into the economy phase, where you run your machines. This is an example of a machine. I'm going to put 5 green cubes in there to output 4 ships, a black cube, a yellow cube, and a blue cube. If I had one of these hexagon resources, I would be able to spend that to get 1 ship. The other interesting thing about this is there's always these technologies at the bottom of these cards. If you or anyone at the table has explored these technologies, you can tuck the technology underneath the card to upgrade it. Now, something that was giving you just 1 resource is now giving you 2 resources. It upgrades the ability. This is what a technology card would look like. This one requires 6 white cubes or 4 blue cubes to upgrade. But once you've upgraded it, you've unlocked this technology not only for you, but for everybody else. And because you're giving them this bonus, you're going to get a sharing bonus. If you finish a technology bonus in the first age, you're going to get significantly more points than if you finish it in the last age. On the confluence phase, you are going to use ships to bid on the technology and on the planets. Depending on the number of ships you bid, it's going to determine which planets you can buy. So if you bid 3 ships, you can buy a planet that's 3, 2, or 1. Which means if your opponents only bid 1 ship and you take the only 1 planet that is out there, they may not be able to get a planet and they will retrieve their ships. Technology works in exactly the same way. The reason you might want a planet is they generate a resource for free. You can also pay to upgrade them and make them a stronger planet, producing a better resource, once again, for free. You do this over 6 rounds, and at the end, whoever has the most points is the victor.
All right, thank you, Daniel. That was fantastic. And
You're welcome.
So now we're gonna. Oh, you're welcome. You really threw me off there. I wasn't ready for that. Anyways,
everyone's very polite today, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyways, like I was saying before, it was my game. I had it for a couple of years, and I learned about it. I don't even know how I got onto it. I think I was kind of in the mood of finally being like, I want to find my big space game, right? Like maybe I was inspired by whatever his name is from the Dice Tower that loves Zaya,
Roy Cannaday,
like, because that dude just loves him some space. He can't get enough space. And Zaya is his favorite game, and I was like, all right. And everybody loves TI and stuff. I was like, I want to find something that's different out there that's like my go-to space game that I love. And so I was kind of on a mission to find it, and came across Sidereal. It had just had, within the last few months at the time, I think it had just done its kind of second edition printing, which even for me, I'm not the art or production guy, but it went way up with the new edition compared to the old one. And I just learned about it, how there's this game. It's purely a trading game. Purely a trading game. There's a little more to it, but it's basically purely a trading game. And there's up to 9 different asymmetrical races where everyone has a different player, not only player powers, but almost they're all doing kind of playing the game all very differently in different ways. I know Daniel definitely would talk about a couple of them that he played specifically when we were kind of playing it for the show. And there's all these different resources that you have. And so during, as it said in the game, right, in the description, you have a time where you do all this open trading for 10 minutes at a time. And then you have all these different little machines, so to speak, or technologies or converters. There's different terms for it, that you put in some stuff here and it outputs some stuff there. And I was like, well, that's super simple. But then the idea of you take what you output and trade it to try to collect different things, and then buy the orders, which are new technologies to get victory points. And I was like, it seems so simple, but also so robust and so interesting to have that real full-on open market trading. I was like, this sounds crazy and interesting. I was like, I can't wait to play this. And I got it and sat on the shelf for 2 years. But then by pure kind of semi-pure chance, we finally got to play recently. And I got to be honest, I like the game. I couldn't believe how much other people like the game. I was shocked. I thought it was going to go over like a lead balloon, honestly, but just because I sometimes some weird tastes. But yeah, we played it, and I was like, I kept talking to our friend Ryan. I was like, I think I like the game the least of everyone. Like, I was like, I enjoy it greatly, but I think a lot of people like it a little more. So it was really interesting. It was just a real interesting situation, and I don't know. It was just not what I expected. But the game was, but not the reaction. It was awesome. So. What was your thoughts on this, Andy?
Well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, when I first heard about it, my initial thought was it kind of sounded like Cosmic Encounter. And there are some similarities. You are in space. You are a different alien race with different powers, so to speak. But this one's less about attacking people and more just negotiating and getting your engine going and trying to be the more successful merchant. And I wasn't sure what I thought about it, but Chris, I'm very grateful. He convinced me, Andy, you have to play this. You have to do this. This is your type of game. And I sat down and played it, and it was a lot of fun. I left it. It's always a good game when you leave it, and the next night you're dreaming about it, or you're thinking about ways to play it. That usually means that it did something for you that was unique, and it was. It was a very unique game. I like the negotiation. Now, I will say, it does benefit me that I'm a talker. I definitely get loud playing that game. Although the second time we played it twice. And by the way, keep in mind, these opinions are with a bit of a grain of salt because we have not played it a ton, so we haven't tested it a ton. But this is, our first impressions. And the second time I was able to keep it a little quieter, which I know some people appreciated because we had some kids sleeping. But I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the trading. I really enjoyed the negotiation. In this case, I liked the variable player powers. I'm always concerned with some pure negotiation games that you can just get beat up on if people don't like you or they don't trust you, which, believe it or not, happens to me sometimes.
No.
I think they like me still, but they might not trust me. But anyway, I didn't feel like that was as possible in this game, and that might be because it had a higher player count. So you can play up to 9, I think is where it plays best. And we played at 6 and 7, and it played great. It was fantastic. And I didn't feel like anybody was really ganging up on anybody. I felt like there was such unique, interesting powers per person that you almost at some point had to at least consider dealing with someone, just because it's like, well, yeah, I don't want them to win, but man, look what they can offer me. This is great. This will really help me go. And it was a fun game. I played the first time I played with a race that was abundant in resources, and it was hard to go to a different race, honestly, after that, because I kind of got spoiled. But anyway, my time's up. It was good. It was a good game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I want to say, before I get to my time, I wanted to point out that Andy played such a race that had abundant of resources, and he was right next to the person who made any resource he wanted, or a wild, and they just traded with each other the entire night. They won, and that person is John and Andy, and they both beat all of the table by like 20 points. It's like, yeah, that's what happens when you guys only trade with the 2 races. So anyway, so just keep that in mind. You do want to trade with the whole table.
Well, John and I didn't, and we liked it just fine.
Yeah, well,
I have one trade too many with Andy.
that's right. Because John ended up losing. So yeah, but no, I actually really enjoyed Sidereal Confluence. I was the one that night I texted everybody immediately and said that game was great. I kind of just was thinking upon it, and I played a very unique race too. Like Andy said, he had one that generated a bunch of resources, which is kind of the heart of the game, is getting those resources. So like I feel like Andy and John really got the most experience on that. Mine was like I literally resource a random technology, I flip it over, and it changes how I play the game, which I just adored. And at one point, it was something where it's like I could give essentially resources that would reduce the resources that would needed to complete technology. And I'm sitting here yelling at Chris, going, Chris, this is the best deal you have on the table. You have to take mine. And Chris is like, nope, sounds too good. I'm not trading with you. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. So there was a lot of fun moments. This is a game, while the negotiation, like the mechanic of the games are fun, the stories that came out of this game were just top notch. It's really hard to get like a role-playing experience from a board game. And what I mean by is the stories you can tell for, time and time again. But this game had the stories. I will remember the 2 plays of this that we've played like for the rest of my board gaming career. They were so memorable. And the second one, I will make this one quick. I was like the mafia one, and even that one was fun because I'm literally just sitting there going, so who's going to give me something so I don't take what you need away. And one person just completely ignored me.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to make it personal. And I took it from him, and they were just like, wow, that was personal. It's like, I didn't even need those resources, Ryan. I took them because you gave me nothing. And I lost that game, but I don't care. It was fun. So
I really enjoyed when you played that too, because I would like throw you stuff at the last minute. Because
yes,
if the way that particular race works is if they make any deal with you, they can't steal from you. So you're just like, just take my stuff. Just take anything. Here, take a planet.
And you screwed me over because at one point you were like, here, take my planet. And I was like, I'll take a planet for free. And then I looked down and I was at my planet limit. And I was like, no. So he took advantage of me.
There you go. That's awesome. Chris, much like you, well, maybe a little different like you, this game was on my radar when it came out. Okay. But it was on my radar like an approaching torpedo. And it's like, how can I avoid this game and never having to play it? Because number one, Sidereal Confluence, Sidereal Conflux, whatever you want to call it, if you have to have a definition on the back of your box of what your game name means, which this one has, then that's pretty bad. Bad name, terrible name. And then it's pure negotiation and it's like 8 hours long. I never want to play this game. There's no way. Okay, then we're stuck in a cabin playing games for all day. And this is coming out. Like, well, all right, for the sake of the show, I'm taking a hit. I'm going to play this game. And so I sit down. This looked bad from the get-go. Here's your little board. This is what you are. Oh, I'm this guy. I'm basically the Borg. I don't know what they're really called, but I'm like the Borg. And I can make
Unity. They were called Unity.
That's it, Unity. And I can make, wild resources and everything. Okay, whatever. And then once the game got going, which took a little while, that's the thing. You got to have, that was my thing too. It's like, at least I'm not worried about this game getting over early because this is what we're doing. We're committed. And once you get into it, I got to admit, it's a fun game. I had a good time. But I think it is dependent. It is very group dependent. I know lots of people that would never play this game and would never enjoy it. So go into it, know what you're getting into. And it really shouldn't be what it says 120, 180 minutes. It really shouldn't be that upper tier if you played before. Did you guys agree? Your other games, did it go better without the teach and everything? Especially, I would treat this game like I say I treat these other games. I would want to be Unity, whatever they are, the Borg. I would want to be them again at least 2-3 more times before I did something else. And just because once you give me a power, I like that power. I don't want to get rid of it. But the way this one handles the asymmetric powers, I'll say that it's better than some of the other ones because really the powers aren't like complicated. It's like, oh, I create wild resources. That's not hard to figure out. When it says I create them, and that's what I get. I can't cheat. That's, by accidentally, I can't cheat and say did something wrong. And so, and Andy, his creates a lot of resources. It has it right on the card. That's how many you're going to get. It's that you just have that power. It's not like you have to remember, oh, I do this though, and then I do this. No, you're different. They're different. They're different. But really, it's different takes on the same thing, and it's they did it right. They did for how many different characters are there? How many different races is there? Like
It's 9.
It is 9. Okay, I didn't know if there was extra in case you wanted more players or whatever. But
and the cool thing, John, about this game is that we have been talking about how it's heavy negotiation, but I feel like even if you're not a heavy negotiator, you can kind of figure out the puzzle. Yeah. There's still a puzzle element to it. And I feel like actually Randy did that in the second game we played, because while he was trading with people, I don't feel like he was really going out of his way to like twist people's arms into stuff. I think he just figured out the puzzle of what resource he is abundant in, what he can convert, and he just he mathed it all out, and he stomped us because of that, which that is my weakness. My strong point is more in the negotiation, yet it's going to be less in the actually figuring out the math puzzle there.
That's funny. I played it a little different. Oh, sorry, Chris. When we played, one of our other friends, Kelly, was the mafia group. First thing I did when trading opened, first thing I did, here's what I got. What do you want? What are you going to give me for it? Okay, great. There we go. We're done. I'm doing everything else now. So I'm like, I don't know what you stealed from me. I don't know how that works. I don't want to find out how that works.
Yeah, no, what I was going to say is that, like, just kind of following up a couple things John said. Like, yeah, the first time you play it's kind of a rough teach. I'm not going to lie, because it's just kind of understanding, even though the game is actually really simplistic, like trying to wrap your mind around even the core mechanics at first is difficult. Once you execute it, you're like, oh, okay, well, this is super easy. But like wrapping your mind around how to do that is kind of difficult. And then on top of that, then you have the player powers, and some are more and less difficult to immediately read and understand how to execute it. Like by the end, like the two that Daniel played, both the first one where he was trading with me, like the breakdown there was perfectly exactly what I'm saying. Like he was making trades with me that he was like, hey, I want to give you these 2 good cubes for the one lesser cube, and then I'm also going to give you this little tile thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's that tile mean? Because you're giving me a lot for not much. What's this tile? He's like, well, it actually helps you make things even cheaper. And I'm like, wait, so you're giving me an awesome deal, plus it gets better. What's the catch? There's got to be a catch here. You're not a stupid person, Daniel. And he's like, no, it just helps you. He's fine. It's okay. And I'm like, no, I don't believe you. Now, by the end of the first play, I understood how that mechanic worked, and I'd be like, okay, now, sure, okay, I'll do that. I understand what you're trying to do.
Because it gave me a victory point. If he would finish his technology, I would get a victory point because I gave him that, which was
and I would get like 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so I was just like, why would I give you what? No, there's got to be another catch, because you're helping me get 7. You just get 1. But again, the whole idea is that he does that to everyone, and everyone gets 7. He gets 5. That's kind of what it is. But regardless, it doesn't matter.
And I don't do anything except give you stuff.
Right. Yeah. So again, the game has some like those player powers that are not immediately easy to understand and execute. But once you see the matrix, so to speak, for each of the player powers, then it's really interesting. And that's kind of what Andy was talking about with Randy. He saw, oh, okay, I can figure out how to manipulate my ability to work with the other people. So yeah, I do want to say something. A huge meta game.
Well, and I will clarify. We didn't really say it, but it is a heavier game to start with, at least. Sure. Once you get to know it, I don't think it is. But up front, it can be a little daunting.
Well, I want to counter that a little bit, actually, Andy.
Okay.
I think up front, the reason it took our group so long is no one had played it before. And that was the key. One person knowing how to play this game shaves an hour and a half off the time, because you can very easily and concisely explain the 3 rounds and how the stuff converts, the resources convert into other resources, and how you're using that to turn in technology. That's all you're doing. Everything else is just pure trading. So the game is really simple. It's just we none of us had played it. So we were all trying to figure out what terms meant and what factions did what. So it took longer. But I think if you just have one person who knows how to play, this game goes from 4 hours to 2 hours or an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And, I do want to say one thing about the player boards real quick, because when I first got my player board, it was all this flavor text about, my Borg or Unity or whatever they were. But then I flipped it over. I'm like, they actually give you hints on how to use your powers to your ability. Oh, okay, this is great. This shows me, why I'm different than everyone else and how to exploit that. So that's pretty cool that they have that in there.
Well, I liked that. I liked that the different races had difficulty levels, so you could send somebody through their first game a lower, easier player power to work with, which was cool. Yeah. And the other thing I just think that's interesting is you can trade with people and it may work really well. Like maybe I've got a thing going with John, but you might realize no matter how beneficial it is to me, it's just as beneficial to him.
Yep.
So I have to cut this off. I have to go trade with Chris because Chris, I know, is way behind me, and that's okay. So I'm going to help him. So you have to make those decisions too. You don't get just cornered into only dealing with one person. And in the case of John and I, we did, but it was probably more to our detriment because we were just helping each other.
Well, it was in their detriment in that either one of them was going to lose, and if at one point they would have verged, they would have given themselves more agency to win. But it was the monopoly issue. It was whoever stopped rolling on each other's property first won the game.
That's good.
Well, what are you guys' thoughts on Sidereal Confluence? Have you played it? If not, you should. And when you do, or if you haven't, let us know in the comments.
Thank you for watching this clip from Around the Board. If you'd like to watch the full episode, please click on the link down below. Around the Board is essentially a game show featuring 4 board game enthusiasts that discuss board game topics and news in a competitive format. Whoever wins gets to talk about whatever he wants at the end of the show. So please join us, won't you, Around the Board.